Mhm.
Booyah. Piece of the planet, you know what it is. A Dece of the Bishop chilling live and direct from the Silicon Valley and from Wudang West. You know what I'm saying? In the well, it's not the slums of Shaolin, but what do we call this region that you're in? Like we gotta name it.
You know, I had a scholar come visit one time, and he always prized the silhouette of the Oakland Hills
Yeah.
as like a sleeping Buddha.
Ooh, I like that.
And
Okay, okay.
when he came here, he was like, "My goodness, this is the heart of the sleeping Buddha." And so,
I like that. That's hard. I'm rocking with that. We're gonna leave that. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Master David Way is on the scene. You know what I'm saying? He and I go
just like
back.
this
Is it two,
fine.
3 years now? Is it 2 years? How long have we been homies?
How long you been homies?
Since the Bruce Lee thing at that lunar thing.
I'm gonna sound hella Sedona right now.
Yeah.
Lifetimes.
You know
Nah, nah, since that battery thing, it was what? That New Year thing.
Yeah. Whenever that was. Anyway, been homies. My man has studied Taoism on Wudang Mountain for sure. And he's one of my favorite tea people on the planet. You know what I'm
As I'm
saying?
making tea right now.
Yeah, he's making tea right now. And recently we talked there, right there, and that at that very table with a bunch of highly esteemed masters from different paths and sometimes similar paths. Um, can you talk about that night real quick? I mean, the video is going to drop eventually, but um,
Wasn't that wild?
oh man, this was a night, y'all. Wait till the video drops. I'm not playing.
Man, I want to talk about how you got invited and you didn't know what you were going to contribute, and you ended up dropping some of the hottest gems of the night.
But I was just, man, one of the guys trained directly under Wong Jackman, the dude that fought Bruce Lee. What?
Yeah, and if you let him tell the story,
It's very different.
well, because consider Wong Jackman never left Oakland,
No, he didn't.
right? So who lost that fight?
Well, I mean, it depends though. I mean, bro, like
Right? Who had to close their school and leave town?
uh, I
Right?
don't know
And
if
then
he had to
so
close and leave.
if you know Kung Fu, and if you know that generation and how challenges
Right,
were
how it
handled,
rolled.
because otherwise you're gonna believe the what was it, that the dragon with the
Version.
Hawaiian dude, right? With the
Yeah,
Jason Scott Lee or whoever played that,
yeah, yeah.
and then the evil villain snuck up from behind and kicked him in the back and broke his back. Otherwise, you're gonna believe that story, right? But Wong Jackman, nah, spanked him. Said, "Get out of town. Give me your students," which was necessary for Bruce's evolution. Because then from here he went to Seattle, and then from Seattle, started doing his movie thing, and
You
so
know,
it
Jeff
could be,
Chang has a new book out on Bruce Lee, right?
yeah,
And his
nice.
his account of the fight is one of my, I think it's my favorite. It might be better than the one in Matthew Polly's book, which is my favorite Bruce Lee book, period.
Uh,
Bruce Lee, A Life. That thing looks like a dictionary. It's gigantic, bro. And it starts on the day he's born and it ends on the day he dies. That's a hard piece of work. But Jeff, I
mm.
haven't read all of Jeff's book, but everything I've read is amazing. And I started with the fight. As soon as he sent me the early copy, I was like, to the fight with Bruce? Like, and then I went back to the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Well, interestingly enough, Scott Jensen and I have a long history, and the very first time we met, he recounted that story. And then he told it just like how I shared it. He was like, well, who left town? Who had to close their school? Right? Because then Wong Jack Man, peace be upon him, he taught until he died.
Yeah, he did.
Right. And so yeah, never closed his doors. Never had to. And so at least in the Kung Fu world, that speaks.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So, dude, you're originally from Richmond.
What?
and then- You're originally from Richmond, and then like you go and you learn in China, and you do all this really cool stuff. Um,
Yeah,
I
and go
go ahead, go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Well, as cool as the stuff that I've done and am doing, what I'm most excited about, what I find most cool is about to be a white belt under you.
Yeah, dude, getting some jujitsu popping,
I got my gi. Yesterday I did a judo
What
class.
size gear you? This guy's gigantic, bro. Like
I'm
you're
at A4.
A4. That's a husky dude, bro. Anyone bigger than an A3 is a big dude, bro.
A4, the top fits me, but the pants don't work. So I had to wear my Kung Fu pants. And
Oh,
then
really?
yeah,
What
I'm
was
thick.
wrong?
If I did a horse stance,
Yeah, no good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I'm excited about that, bro. And really looking forward to that. Um, my team's been doing really good this past weekend. We got the gold at the tournament down in Santa Cruz, and our
uh,
kids jiu-jitsu team is growing at Half Gracie, San Jose, Half Gracie, Santa Clara, just really growing. And it's my I have never been better at teaching jiu-jitsu than right now.
nice.
I think I've never been better. And it's not because I'm extra cool or whatever. It's because I'm really trying to be better. Like I'm being
Mm,
very deliberate, and I'm journaling. And I think journaling about jujitsu has been the biggest leap in my understanding of jujitsu. In the last year, what I've journaled is better than everything else I thought I was thinking about before, because
mm,
it's so clear, it's so consistent. I finished one journal. I just started my second jujitsu journal, and I'm always writing. Not I'm writing like what I taught. I write like, because a lot of times I'm talking about principles that I never write about,
mm.
because I'm just doing it in class. And so that's
Yeah,
making me, like, way better, dog. I'm writing my
nice.
principles down. I'm writing down what I taught, what I think is important, how I perceive certain differences in grips, the role of timing, um, what I define as like important in establishing a position. So I'm excited, man. Should be good. Should be good. Should be good. What
Nice.
graphic arts have you done before?
Well, okay. So when I was in college, I was in Hawaii. And so I did mixed plate stuff. And the teacher that I was fortunate to find, he said, don't let me be your definitive. Go out into the world of martial arts, go see what's out there. And Hawaii was a mixing plate,
I
right?
cannot imagine the
And so he said, go out there, see what they teach you, come back, I'll show you how to use it.
right.
And so my teacher was so open-hearted, he let me go. That's why I kept coming back.
Right.
And in that journey, he introduced me to a bit of BJJ. So I learned how to bump, I learned how to bridge, I learned all these kind of evasive moves.
All right.
Uh, and then when uh, I had done some circus arts, and in that, I learned the falling, the tumbling, the rolling. And I also played around with a bit of Sistema.
How'd you
And
like that?
I enjoyed it. I think you would dig on this. I enjoyed that it's not so much of an art as much of it's the mindset.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
And because they do all this slow stuff, it's not to be effective in a fight. Those are drills to recalibrate your nervous system.
Right.
And so if you know what you're doing and you have an intent and a purpose, yeah, these slow, funny looking drills,
I'll
no,
work.
you're not going to fight with that. just like shadow boxing or whatever, any
All
drill.
right.
You're not going to fight with that. It has, it's a drill for a purpose, right? So anyway, through Systema, there was a lot of rolling around, walking on people, walking on each other, walking on each other's backs, so being compressed upon and being okay with that. I had done some ninjutsu stuff, so that had a lot of like ground takedown, silat stuff. I just
Yeah. So
got a lot of exposure to ground stuff, but nothing ever really definitive. And so now that I'm getting older, I recognize that my focus in Chinese martial arts, the one thing that traditional Chinese martial arts definitively lacks is groundwork.
yeah.
And all my students, they're all older ladies now and they all don't want to fall. And actually, it's like,
Yeah.
lean in, get
Yeah.
friends on the floor. You're
Oh,
gonna
it's true,
fall.
dude. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely one thing that, I'm 55, and when I'm with the kids, I'm not even thinking about how playfully soft I've allowed myself to become. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Over the course of my life. Um, you know, um, when you see a lot of old guys that do jujitsu, no matter what they tell you about in terms of their injuries, they're always incredibly soft. You know what I mean? They can touch their toes. They can, they have a lot of spectrum of movement and stuff like that. And I think that that's really important for both your body and your mind to have a playfully soft body that can like collapse and open and you know what I mean and lean and turn,
Hmm.
that's the stuff that I first got from Taoism. Honestly, like my interest in yoga came from Taoism because in Tao Te Ching, he says that, if you look at a dead tree that gets blown by the wind, if it blows hard enough, it'll snap. But if it's alive, it will bend with the wind, and then when the wind stops, it'll get upright. You know what I mean? And at the time, literally, I was probably like 30, and I was like, "Oh, I can't get stiff." You know what I'm saying? Like I can't get stiff.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up taking a hatha yoga class at San Jose City College. And that guy who I feel so horrible for forgetting his name because it was so long ago, like that dude really changed my life. I was already doing jujitsu. I saw the movie Choke on Hickson Gracie, which I
Mhm.
think is still probably available on YouTube or whatever, or at least a lot of clips of it. I saw him doing some yogic breathing, the breath of fire thing and all that. And I was like,
Mhm.
what is that? And then like I knew Ginástica Natural, which is the Brazilian jiu-jitsu that's kind of like animalistic yoga or like kung fu animal forms style breathing. um, I knew that wasn't available in America, so I was like, well, I'll just do hatha yoga for now. And like that's how I started. Now I've been doing it like my whole life. You know what I mean? Never a swami, never whatever, but I've been doing yoga like pretty much my whole life. I've taken breaks once in a while, but rarely. Rarely.
Nice. So then now in this conversation of yoga, segue to the homie Matt Lucas,
Yeah.
who has that whole yama, yoga is martial
His whole
art.
system, yeah. If you guys go on Instagram at the Yama system, it's the craziest stuff. It's like yogic
Wild.
stuff mixed with like the Persian zircana, like big wooden bat mace things. Unbelievable. Un-
Mixed with straight no nonsense mercenary kill moves.
I
It's
know he's so dude. Like I had him come through to a private that I did in Santa Clara at this guy's house, and like Matt's physical form, like his body is just like lean muscle fibers and bone. That's it. And like his whole body health, strength, and like balance is pretty unprecedented. I'll just say that. Pretty, pretty unprecedented.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My father-in-law swears up and down that he's a CIA assassin.
I
And
wouldn't be
he
shocked if it turned out that he was. I wouldn't be like, no. I'd be like,
but
you know,
he's never confirmed or denied. And the motherfucker travels, dude. He's traveling right now. And
yeah.
so it's like, yo, you're on assignment, dog. Like,
There's
what are you?
something extra in the mix. That's what we do know, right? There's something extra, but Like, yeah, dude. And so I was showing him some Iron Hook attack theme stuff, and like he got it instantly. Do you know what belt he is in jiu-jitsu? I know he has a black belt in judo. Cause dude, his movements were not like a beginner. His movements were not like a noob. His movements were really clean. I was like, I think this dude is a purple belt. I think this dude, like, he's dangerous.
Right on. I couldn't tell you. Um, but to that point, I'm kind of excited because you're speaking of something that I experienced just last night, right? So again, while I'm waiting for you and I to start training, I went over to this judo class. It was my very first judo class, and it was judo for the first hour and then small circle jujitsu for the next hour and a half,
Okay.
right? And I stayed for all of it. And as an absolute beginner, they just kind of worked me through the curriculum to kind of see what I was able to do.
Hmm.
And had it been more time, I probably could have done more, but they basically just walked me all the way through yellow belt curriculum. They're like,
Wow.
oh, can you do this? 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 Can you do this?
You're
I'm
like,
like, you mean this? You mean this? You mean this? You mean this?
what do
And
you attribute your skill set to do that so so well?
um, I think because when I was in the temple, I didn't learn kung fu. I learned how to human.
What does that mean?
Well, because when you learn a style or a or a system, like your body kind of takes shape into that skill set, right? You
Fair.
give your body a context, and then your body adapts to meet the content. And so, a plumber is going to have a certain body type, a runner is going to have a certain body type, a power lifter is going to have a certain body type, and kung fu person, is going to have a certain body type and have certain body mechanics.
Yeah.
And so in our values, it wasn't so much locking yourself into a style, but just kind of awakening your capacity as a human to do anything and everything you put your mind to.
Mm.
And so your body is, because you mentioned Lao Tzu, he also said, can you be like a baby? Can you be supple and just be on to take on whatever life throws at you? Because then that's the measure of health. It's
It's
not your BMI, it's not your, body weight, it's not your whatever. It's your capacity to adapt to life.
hmm That's hella deep.
Right. And so I didn't learn kung fu, I didn't learn a style, right? I learned how to human. And then in learning how to human, I can take on whatever humans do, at least, pick it up quickly. Right. 'Cause it translates to body intelligence, it translates to spatial awareness, it translates
Yeah.
to rhythm timing, translates to comfort in your own skin.
When you think about your Taoist training as it relates to books, what are the first things that pop up? And then what are the first things that pop up that have nothing to do with books?
Ha. Books. I have my phases with books. I
Mm.
loved to read. When I first learned how to read, I was really advanced. I was like at a fifth, sixth grade level in
Mm.
kindergarten. So they put me in all this advanced placement, and I read everything I could, annoyingly so, to my mom.
Mhm.
But then once they started put me in advanced placement and telling me what to read and what to think of what I read,
It
I
killed your love for it.
hated reading, right? And then it wasn't until college that I found a library kind of stack of books. They were giving away books. And a book caught my eye, and it was Monkey. And it
Mm.
was the story of the Journey West, story of the Monkey King. And I got inspired to pick it up, and I read
Wow.
it, and I cried because I read the whole book through and through, and with tears in my eyes the whole way through, because I realized that I had learned to hate how to read.
Mm.
right? And then so when I found that book right as I was graduating from college, boom, I picked up everything I could find on Chinese medicine, Chinese philosophy, theory,
You
and
just
then
went deep.
Taoism. I just dove, right? But then there came a point when I was in the temple and I'm carrying all these books. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I need these. And I started giving these away and I started shedding, right? And and so I haven't been reading. But now that I have a son and I want him to not be on screens, I want him to be able to pick up the gold inside books. And
Yeah,
so I'm again finding that love for books
that's
again.
deep. Yeah. The phase of book reading is a big deal. I definitely go through times of like intense reading and then like detachment from books. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I learned really young that I could read quick and my comprehension was high. And I'll sit through a very academic book to get the jewel. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind sitting through a lot of, a lot of people can't do that. Like I have incredible reading stamina when it comes to like sitting with a book and like going through it. And really understanding, not just pretending, right? Like really,
Yeah.
like I use several highlighters. I have a whole thing. Like the what I don't believe that I know a book until I read it and highlight what I like along the way. Come back 6 months to a year later and read only the highlights. Come back a year or two later and read only the non-highlights. Until I've done that, I don't believe that I know a book.
Damn. Damn. Well, along, with this thought, when I first went to China, I had a psychology professor. He was the dean of psychology. He was also my first Tai Chi teacher.
Mm,
And he sent me with a question. When I went to the temple, he had me ask my teacher, he said, what's the difference between mirror mind and sitting in forgetfulness? Because in the classics, Zhuangzi talks about these two specific styles of meditation. And so I'm like, all right, bet. I go and ask my Taoist priest teacher, and then Shifu, what's the difference between Zluowang and mirror mind? And he goes, you don't even practice. What's the difference? There's no difference, right? And then so kind of to the point of, splitting hairs, and it's not about the word you have for it, the name you have for it. It's, can you do it, right? And I really appreciated that teaching style of my teacher because sure, I learned Tai Chi in the birthplace of Tai Chi, but I never learned any of the terms, any of the names, any of the fantastic poetry that comes with it. And then so I remember going to do this workshop and somebody challenged me. He was like, show us pung. It's like, what the fuck is pung? He's like, it's the most basic of all Tai Chi powers. What? You don't know Peng Lu Ji An, da da da. You were supposed to be from the temple, da da da. I was like, what's Peng? And he goes,
mhm,
this. And I go, oh, this? I didn't have
mhm.
a name for it, but I'll pung the fuck out of you.
That is hilarious. You know what's deep about that, man? Is it ties
Hmm.
into this episode or back, I talked about this idea of like the way that the Gracie Baja School, which is like probably like the most formal team, one of the biggest teams probably in jiu-jitsu in a network of schools. And like no gi, like 10th Planet 8 Bravo is that, you know,
Yeah.
the GB school, Gracie Baja, like their mindset is much more Confucian, right? It's about the form. It's about, you know what I mean? The acknowledging the rank, the lineage, the history. They're very specific about how they want to see things. Then you have the 10th
Mhm.
planet and the no-gi style, which is much more Taoist, right? In that it is open, that it is not as like they have rank and file and da 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 da. But the thing what made when you said can you do it, right? Is like people in Nogi tend to have a lot less regard for terms like professor and you know what I mean, and these things that are much more formal. They just want to know, are you good? Can you do the move for real? Can you do it in real time against the active, right? And that's not to say that it doesn't exist in the gi world, because it obviously does. But I did this thing about this, you know, how the gi community is inherently more Confucian, and how the Nogi community, 10th planet or not, is inherently more Taoist. You know what I mean? In their perspectives. And that, you know, I don't have a preference for either, that both are necessary, right? Like I think it's important that the dudes in the gis are seen as the face of jujitsu, right? Because if you see some of these nogi guys with, you know, a big water bong and, you know, talking about their last mushroom trip, it's not gonna look as it's not gonna look as good for the community as it is, right? But you know, the other thing I was talking about is that in a lot of different Chinese societies, people were very much more outwardly Confucian, but were Taoist at home, right? You know what I mean? That there's this whole like, who are you in society versus who are you in your own space? You know, I love stuff like that. I love just thinking about how others think. Um,
Mm.
it's very cool.
That's dope that you brought that up. My student Max, shout out Max.
Hey,
He was telling me about that episode, the gi no gi Dallas
yeah,
and
yeah,
Confucian.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's a really interesting thing, and I really took it from a conversation I heard on Alan Watts like a while ago. I in the post, if you look, you'll see that there's a sheet of paper, and it's from my jujitsu journal where I was writing when I was leaving the UK, coming back to America, and I was listening to Alan Watts, and I was like, Gracie Baja and Haleo Gracie equal Confucianism. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Bravo, Greg Souders equal Taoism, you know, like, so I've been playing with it for some time. And the way that a lot of my things come together is I will think about something for 3 or 4 months and then I'll write it. I'll think about something for 3 or 4 months and then I'll do it. And then when I do it, people go, man, it was so amazing. You just came up with that and did it. But they don't realize that was 3 or 4 months of very deep, organized and reorganized thinking that came out in this final expression, you know. But
Yeah.
I got a lot of good feedback from that particular episode, so I'm really happy that
Oh,
people
dope.
were digging it.
Yeah, there's a phrase for the sentiment you just shared. Um, Kind of like the 30-year overnight success, but
Mm-hmm.
they say in Chinese, they say 1 minute off stage or 1 minute on stage, 10 years off stage.
Yeah, you know what I mean? People go, "Oh, what an amazing performance," not realizing like as if you just walked up and killed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that's a Beijing opera thing. Oh, you want to be on stage for 1 minute? That's fucking 10 years work.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's a big deal, man. It's a very big deal. So as
Mm.
someone who well, let me ask you this: as a kung fu qigong guy, when and how did your formal appreciation for jujitsu begin? Or when it first popped up, were you was it something that you thought was cool, uncool, unsure? Like, tell me about,
Uh-huh.
because you come from like
Um,
the deepest of traditions when it comes to traditional martial arts. One of the deepest.
well, when I first got exposed to it in college, it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it had always been on the periphery, like as a ground skill, ground grappling.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my time with doing Tai Chi push hands, right, I would still play with it, like rolling around on the floor and seeing if I could still apply these principles. So it's always kind of been in a periphery for me.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think now that my son is in 10th planet
Mm-hmm.
and he's killing it.
Right.
He's doing
Shout out to
really
Mike Hildebrand and 10th
good.
Planet Oakland squad. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike has put together a really champion team there, and I'm really impressed with that school. And
Yeah.
I mean, very first day, they're doing arm bars and rear naked
Mhm.
chokes and ankle locks
Mm-hmm.
as games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, yes, this works. And my son had already done a year. I put him in Shaolin Kung Fu at 2 years old, right? You're not supposed to start until 4, but I speak Chinese and I paid a year up front. And so the Sifu was like, okay.
All right.
And then so it ended up just being exposure. But the reason why I chose that school is because falling, tumbling, rolling was in the curriculum. But in a year of that Shaolin program, 4 days that they spent of falling and rolling, they rarely, if ever, took those mats out.
Right.
So after a year of that, my son's like 2. They're trying to force feed some choreography, and it's just these teenagers yelling at him. I was like, you know what?
Not working.
As much as I love Kung Fu, as my culture, nah, nah. And so I put him in a judo class,
Mm.
and he loved judo. So from 3.5, he did 6 months of judo, and he loved it so much. But then his sensei moved to Texas out of nowhere.
Uh,
And so we were kind of, at a loss to find him something. But then we found 10th Planet, and it took him a while to acclimate because 10th Planet was such a big school.
yeah, it is
There's
a big space.
right, 30 kids, easily what, 2,000 some odd square feet,
Yeah,
huge space. And uh, it was very intimidating for him. It's also a lot of parents on the sidelines,
yeah,
cheering
yeah.
on, and it's a loud environment. And so it took him a minute to acclimate, but now he's what, 6 months in that and killing it. So to answer
Beautiful.
your question of why I'm interested, is because I don't want to get rolled up by my son.
There's a chance by the time he's 12, I could be in danger. So I need to have some counters. I need to have some concepts,
Sure.
you
And
know.
then the other thing too is with my focus being Chinese martial arts, just the floor is non-existent in our system. And so anything to just get me familiar with falling, rolling, just some
Yeah,
softness around the ground. Because I'm 6'5", right? You mentioned I'm an
right.
A4. I'm a big boy.
You know what I'm saying?
And so if I fall, I'm gonna fall hard. So I want to have some softness around that.
Yeah, no, it's important, man. It's important. And for me, as someone who's always loved and respected traditional martial arts, it's exciting for me. You know what I mean? It's exciting for
Hmm.
me. Not just because you're a cool person and all of that, but also, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, look, this guy's like master of several other martial arts. It's actually cool. And he studied overseas. And I was like, so like the mind you need to be a master has already been achieved. So it's just in a very specific direction that we're walking. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I think it should be a pretty um, easy journey for you and I to, connect as
Fun. Well, I'm looking forward to be a forever white belt because
yeah,
just being in that small circle, I mentioned being in the judo, being able to do all the
yeah,
falls and rolls already, and then going into the small circle, they were doing all the grips,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I was like, oh shit, this is a fucking massage class.
I know, right? It's fucking hilarious, man.
It's
I tell you
all the
what though,
same shit, man.
shout out to Wally J, man, and the small circle squad because like that stuff is so painful and it's
Mm,
so quick, you know.
mm.
Um, Yeah, no, it's just beautiful stuff, man. What tea are you rocking with today? What do we got?
Oh, me, poor.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Big Snow Mountain 2013 vintage. I'm using angry hot boiling water out of my clay pot, purple clay pot.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so when can we get you over here again?
It
I want to
depends.
give you a treatment.
Yeah, man. No, I definitely I want to try cup. You do so much though. And my body's so old. There's no wrong answer for the treatment. Cupping, yes. You know what I mean? Tweena, yes, whatever. I need all of it.
Word, word.
But yeah, I don't have a preference on that. Um Yeah, dude. So probably Friday. It depends because I do have a private client who usually Fridays are our days and he's out of the country. So I know he's gonna be chomping at the bit to train, but we'll figure it out. We'll
Okay.
figure. Um, you
Let
know
me
what?
backtrack, not to
Go ahead.
cut you off. You had asked about a book, and I realize I have one sitting right here. I want to show you.
Go ahead. What is that, bro? What's that say? I can't read.
Oh, you
To be
can't read.
what?
Standards for being a good student and child.
What?
So, yeah, speaking of Confucian, this is a Confucian text. It's called Dizugui in Chinese.
Uh,
And it's basically how Chinese kids learn how to read and write
wow.
because they learn this before anything else. At
Really?
least if they still do it now or not, who knows? But
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
classically,
the standard.
this is the standard. And I'll go through table of contents. At home, be dutiful to your parents. There's a whole chapter on that. Standards for being a younger brother when you're away from home, a whole chapter on that.
Oh my God, what?
Be cautious in your daily life, whole chapter on that. Be trustworthy, whole chapter on that. Love all equally, chapter on that. Be close to and learn from people of virtue and compassion.
Bro,
Af-
that's hard.
After all the above are accomplished, further study and learn literature and art to improve your cultural and spiritual life. Boom. Before you learn anything, see little kids, a teacher. Boom.
Chilling.
Yeah,
That's a great book. I'm copying. Legit.
Confucian.
That's dope, dude. That's super dope. What do you got going on for the weekend?
Um, I want to practice these falls and rolls because I did 1 day of judo and they said that I'm yellow belt level. And I'm like, well, I want to earn it.
Yeah,
I want to really have it. Don't
yeah,
just tell me that shit. It's like, yeah, I've
yeah.
had, sure, I can do it. I can mimic, or I've seen enough
Right, right, right.
stuff to where, it translates, but I want to do what you're telling me to do well.
Yeah, yeah, not just have it. Right.
Yeah, not just my interpretation of it or not
Right.
just what I can do that's similar to it. Like you're telling me to do it like this, I want to do it like this
Like that.
well.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's important, man. And again, like just getting in tune with your own body and that softness is like really crucial. You know,
Mhm.
I was talking with somebody about just like how one thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just to do it, you have to have a certain baseline level of fitness. Just to do it. You know what I mean? Like you just to do it and suck at it. You have to have a certain baseline fitness, right? And it's cool because like how many times are you just gonna throw your legs over your head as a grown adult? You just won't, right? How many times are you just gonna like roll to your left side, roll to your right side? You don't. Like unless you're getting in and out of bed, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's really interesting how the different playful jujitsu warm-ups and games and all that stuff is just so good for you down the line, man. Because I
Yeah.
told you before, I was mopping a marble floor at one of my old places, slipped, fell back, and I kimmied, tucked my head, and I was on wet marble, like whoosh. And like I was playing Public Enemy at the loudest I could play it. It was like a hot Sunday. Wife and kids were gone. So I'm like, fight the power. And then I was like not paying attention. Shoom. And I landed like that. And I was like, I looked at my dude, hurt. Wet marble? Oh yeah, that hurt. And I was like, I'm alive. I was like, oh shit. I was like, judo just saved my life for real. I can't believe I
Yeah.
got up, my t-shirt was kind of wet. I was like, my head's not even wet. Oh, right.
Woo!
Dude,
Nice. Well, praise to my Sistema training because all those tumble falls rolls, get out there on
that's
the
what it came.
concrete.
Yeah.
They're doing it right on the street, right on the gravel. Granted, they progressed you,
Right.
right? But they said, let's keep it real. You're not gonna be fighting on the dojo. Ain't gonna be
Yeah.
matting on the streets. You're gonna be on the gravel. Yeah, this is what it feels like. Get used to it.
So funny, dude. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. That's why I always hate it when I see kids like fumbling on their ukimis on their rolls. Because I'm like, the only reason you can do that is because you're on a mat. If you rolled like that on a sidewalk, you would be done. Like you wouldn't even be fighting because it would be over. You know what I mean? So it gets frustrating when students are lazy on that, you know.
Mhm.
But dude, let me tell you. So this is, hold on, I don't know how to make this camera
Oh,
see it.
now I get it. I can't read
Yeah.
that.
The Classics of Strategy and Counsel by Thomas Cleary. It's an
Uh-huh.
expensive book. It's an old book. It has these two Taoist things. One is called The Master of Demon Valley, and the other was called The Master of the Hidden Storehouse. Um,
Yeah.
and the wisdom in here is very, very beautiful, man. While I don't see an actual author listed, says the Master Demon Valley is a highly controversial classic, generally attributed to the Warring States periods of ancient China, which began in the middle of the first millennium BCE. The military classics by Sun Tzu's The Art of War is also from this period, as it is a Taoist classic, as is the Taoist classic Zhuangzi. Although very closely related to both the martial and Taoist traditions, the Master of Demon Valley is ordinarily associated with a relatively obscure school of thought known as Song Hang Sui. Like, I'm butchering my Chinese, whatever. It's not going to work over there for me. Uh, a number of Chinese meanings are contained within the name of this controversial school, which is generally concerned with the with psychological and strategic aspects of statecraft. So that's interesting. A
Wow.
Taoist piece of work on the strategic aspects of statecraft. That sounds almost Confucian in its intent.
That's pretty hard how it doesn't have an author. It's attributed to a time.
That's hard. That's
That's
hard.
that sits with me in a really special
Dude, that's
way.
like just if the book could stand and a b-boy stands just like hella hard with his head down. Like, be
Oh,
like,
I'm written by an era. Like, yo,
era. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. Um,
wow.
so so then okay, so the Master Demon Valley would lead us to suspect that Sung Hang Se, I'm probably butchering that, was either a splinter of Taoism or a separate school profoundly influenced by Taoism. A third possibility is that the Taoist element in the text, which is very prominent, represents a later attempt by philosophical Taoists to encapsulate the virulent ideas and practices of the Sung Hang in a way as to mitigate harmful abuses.
Note
It's
that distinction.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. The Master Demon Valley. Um, I'll just give you some highlights.
Well, just what you read, note the distinction between Taoist and philosophical Taoist,
mm,
right? He took the time to point that out,
right, like be
right,
clear on
in the
that.
description, right? And I think that's important to note in the spectrum of what's possible in Taoism. You have the orthodox kind of ritual magic line
Mhm,
where it's very ceremonial and no
mhm.
different than a Catholic mass, right? And then you have the philosophical, which is more likened to the Stoic philosophies, right?
Right, right.
So, and then you have everything in between. You have music, food, medicine, art, divination, geomancy, you know, exorcism, flower arrangement. Like it's
Yeah,
all in there,
that's real.
right?
That's hella real. So he says, therefore, it is always necessary to discern what is concealed by way of what is visible. That's Taoism like a G right there.
Shut up and show me.
Discern what is concealed by the way of what is visible. What?
Hmm.
That's hard.
Yeah, always be ready to demo.
Like I used to tell, I remember this one time this kid, he ran up on me in the city being silly. And he was like, break yourself, fool, da 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 da. And then I I had I had a small makeshift weapon on me. And he was like, oh, I didn't realize that you know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that you would carry something like that. And I was like, it's important to respect what you don't see.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's game. Respect what you don't see. It's you know what I'm saying? It was just hilarious. But no, but I feel like that's the thing, right? Like I'm always trying to tell people like it's not what people say, it's what they don't say, right? And this is kind of that vibe. It's not what you see, it's what you don't see. You know what I mean?
Man.
What else from the Master of Demon Valley? And they have sections on strategic thinking. Um, hold on, went too far. So the world has no fixed values. Events have no fixed guide. Sages have no fixed involvements, yet there is nothing they do not affect. They listen to nothing, yet there is nothing they do not hear. If they are successful in what they do and appropriate in their planning, they are made into leaders. You know, and it's interesting, like when you look at the how people and entities that are like naturally authentic, like they'll rise on their own accord. Like, you know, the promotion is kind of inevitable based on how they function. It's not a it's not a goal sought. You know what I mean? It's not a goal sought. It's just like they act like that and then they separate from the poor and the mediocre. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
With or without intention. Adapt fluidly to changes and no one will know what you are doing. You accomplish great things while remaining in the background.
Man, that's some Wizard of Oz.
That's hard. Listen to this one. Someone who tries to cleave to a ruler may not be employed, while someone who leaves a ruler may, on the contrary, be sought after. That's hard.
Damn. This almost sounds like some 48 Laws of Power.
I know, right? Oh, here you go. Here you go. This is the Master of the Hidden Storehouse. This is my preferred one. Remove the solid and there is liquid. Remove the liquid and there is gas. Remove the gas and there is emptiness. Remove the emptiness and there is the way.
Ooh.
That's hard. Um, in something that should be white, blackness is considered pollution. In something that should be black, whiteness is considered pollution. So, how do we know what in the world is truly pure or polluted? For this reason, I do not focus solely on the purity or pollution of things. The grandee of Chen inquired, what actually shows that this man is a sage? The aristocrat Lu said, he is able to still his mind and yet use his body. The master of the hidden storehouse said, my body is merged with my mind. My mind is merged with energy. My energy is merged with my spirit. My spirit is merged with nothingness.
Wow, that's very similar to Lao Tzu's classic, 人法地，地法天，天法道，道法自然. It's humans follow the earth. Earth follows heaven. Heaven follows nature. Nature follows itself. Or it's
That's
yeah.
hard. That's hard. um, A person may be approachable, yet have talents that cannot be approached. One may have respectable talents and yet be unworthy of respect as a person. When respect is extreme, there is no familiarity. When familiarity is extreme, there is no respect. That's hard. That's hard. When
You
regulate
know,
Ooh, here you go. When regulations and prohibitions are not observed in practice, then the state crumbles.
hmm. See, I want to tell you a story. I remember when I was coming up in the arts and I wanted to read the classics. And one of the classics on strategy was Musashi's Five
Right,
Rings,
right, right,
right? And I remember reading it, and it was what it was,
right.
right? But then I read Musashi, that epic, super thick fucking.
Yoshikawa.
Yo, you know that book? I got it right
Bro,
here.
listen. Musashi Yoshikawa is my favorite novel, period, period. And if you are a human being on this earth that intends or hopes to have any remote understanding of the way of the samurai, you do not have this book, you are sleeping. I'm telling you, that is one of the best things. Listen, I read that on my own. I don't even know how I stumbled across it. Like at some point, I had read the Book of Five Rings. All this time passed. I didn't even know Musashi existed. Somehow I fell upon it, paid the money, read the book, and I got lost in that book. I got lost in that book. That is a
Bro,
masterpiece. That is a
bro.
masterpiece.
So I say that to say this. After I read this book, then I read the Book of the Five Rings again.
And it was a different book, wasn't it?
Whole different book. I was like, oh, that's why he's saying that. Oh, that's why that gem is, because otherwise it's just another generic strategy book.
Yeah, like it doesn't have the context you need to really
Yeah.
grasp it, especially with a Western mind,
Yeah.
right? Like that's one of the things that I found really interesting about Ichi Yoshikawa, the author of Musashi, is that one of the things he did for me was helped me like how he would talk about what each person was experiencing in a silence that could only be interpreted individually. That's hard to do. This guy is high level writer, and the way that he sets scenes, the way that he story tells. So this character who seems hell of insignificant loops way back 10 chapters later, like, what's up, dog? You're like, oh snap, it's the dude from way back.
Oh shit, it's Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Oh snap.
Yo, like it's crazy. It's so crazy. And the story is told so well. You know, I think that that book is massive. I think everybody should read that book. The only book that I think, and it depends on my day of the week. On this day of the week, Musashi is king. But any other day of the week, Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield might beat Musashi by like at the they're like it's a photo finish. And I'm not even kidding. You read Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, you're going to be a different human on the other side.
Bet.
Different human.
The one that did it for me,
Mm,
and please text me that book title too.
yeah.
It's Chronicles of Tao
I don't know.
by Deng Dao.
Okay.
And that story, it tells the tale of a young boy getting placed in a temple because he was a handful and his rich parents didn't have the time to raise him. And so he came up on the mountain Huasan, a Taoist temple, learning the kung fus.
All right.
When he came of age, uh, that's right when Japanese invaded, right?
Okay.
And so he used his kung fu to fight. And then after that, he came to America and had to deal with racism.
Mm.
He's a Chinese immigrant, right? And he was right here in the Bay and he taught Kung Fu. And to my knowledge, he's still alive. And so it's a very fantastic tale that is severely embellished, but it's a based on a real story.
Dude, I still
Uh,
need. So, do you think I get what I need to use the bookstore that one, or you think it's on Amazon?
I'll send you a link to it.
Cool. No, that's perfect. And I'll send you. I have it prepped to send you something for Gates of Fire. Gates of Fire is amazing. It's about the 300 at
Oh,
Thermopylae,
Sparta.
right? But it's told through the experience of one of the attendees of the 300. Like he was like the squire of the 300. So it's cool because he's telling it not as a warrior. He's showing you what warriors do. He's telling you how warriors eat, how they run their families, how, you know what I mean? The things that he's just as like a squire who is at the battle, you know. It's an unbelievable book. And like I'm telling
Mm,
you, like Musashi, Musashi is just it's those are my favorite two novels any day of the week. Those two novels,
mm.
you know, those two novels any day of the week. It's crazy.
Boy, might start reading.
I'm about to start getting these books, dog. Like, yeah, dude. Well, yo, man, thank you so much for being on today, bro. Um, tell people how to get a hold of you.
Or not. I'm busy as fuck. Leave me
You are
alone.
busy.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Don't bother my home. Don't
I'm
bother
trying
them.
to be a dad. Yeah, I'm trying to leave me
Yeah,
alone. Trying to enjoy time with my
shout out
son.
at OG. You know what I'm saying?
Word, yeah. Bet King, fucking always a joy. When that thing drops, I'll shoot you a link. Um, yeah, that was a really nice gathering of masters that you contributed to. Thank you so much. It was
I'm still
predominantly
shocked I was there,
Kung
bro.
Fu. It was predominantly Kung Fu, right? And so that's where I think, the shock might be felt because we had the Shaolin, we had the Tai Chi. I guess Alex Fang, he was a judo guy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But we needed you guys to kind of round it out because otherwise it'd have just been Kung Fu fighting.
You could tell he was a master of masters too, by the way. Like his whole posture, demeanor, speech, everything, everything,
Bro,
everything,
he's special. He is
everything.
special. If you remember the two that I won't say their names, but
Yeah,
the
yeah,
him and her were kind of like barking.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Before Alex came in, there was like this whole thing about who's gonna sit where, who's gonna sit where, da da
Yeah.
da da. As soon as Alex came in, all that squashed.
Quickly.
I'm like, oh, where are you gonna
Yeah,
sit? And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
well,
Yeah, yeah. No doubt, dude. Nah, that was crazy. So crazy. But man, have a blessed one. We'll be in tune. This will probably drop on Monday, and I'm grateful for you. All right. One love, man. Have a blessed one, and I'll see you. I'll see you at your place on the mat soon. All right.
word.
Inshallah. All right. Peace now.
Mwah.